I will be presenting a brief history of the China Yuan through these 5 stages. Ultimately, my main aim is to derive the present yuan and into its future. And before we discuss about this topic, please do take some time to read into the disclaimer. So before we get into the progressive stages of yuan development, what we are looking at here is a currency pair called the dollar yuan. And when dollar yuan is moving higher, this means that the US dollars is strengthening against the yuan. And when the dollar yuan is moving lower, this means that the yuan is strengthening against the US dollars. And for us to participate and to trade the US dollar yuan, specifically, we are looking at the dollar offshore yuan. So whether it is dollar yuan or the dollar offshore yuan, they move in tandem together. Now let's discover about the evolution of the China yuan in these 5 stages. The first stage is the early history of the China yuan. It started in 1948 when the People's Republic of China was established. The exchange rate then was set at 1 US dollars to 3 yuan. This initial exchange rate was established by the Chinese government at that time. And during the Cultural Revolution in the 60s to the 70s, yuan was not widely used or traded internationally. The second stage. Then it was in the 80s. Former Chairman Deng Xiaoping led the opening of China economy. And for the very first time in 1980, China established a dual exchange rate. This is an official rate for trade and for non-trade transactions. Then it was not done through a free floating market-based mechanism like what it is today. The third stage, with the pegging to the US dollars between 1995 to 2005, during this period, China pegged the yuan to the US dollars at a fixed exchange rate. This fixed exchange rate helped China maintain a competitive advantage in international trade, but it also led to acquisition of currency manipulation by its trading partner. So China was under pressure from the international community, and they began a process of exchange rate reform in 2005. This led us to the fourth stage, exchange rate reform between 2005 to 2015. It allows the yuan to appreciate gradually against the US dollars. And in 2010, China announced its intention to make yuan an international currency. However, it took them a few years to see that coming to pass. And finally, in 2015, International Monetary Fund included the China yuan in its basket of reserve currency known as special drawing rights. This marked a significant milestone in the yuan internationalization, where this brings us to the fifth and the present stage, yuan international. And after 2015, China continued to gradually open up its financial market to foreign investors and expand the use of yuan in international trade and investment. This process is still ongoing until today. Just like many other central banks around the world, China adopted a managed floating exchange rate system, and under the system, the yuan is pegged to a basket of international currencies. And the government allowed the yuan to fluctuate within a certain band. This provided flexibility in responding to market forces while still exerting some control over the exchange rate. Now, the big question is this. At the current dollar yuan rate at about 7.2, is this rate a fair exchange rate? Well, since myself and many other investors, we can now participate and trade in the dollar offshore yuan. This also indicates that the marketplace of traders and investors has determined the current rate as fair. Moving forward, the reference point that I will be using to determine the future direction of dollar yuan, it will be in stage 3, 4, and 5. The search of the fair value in dollar yuan begin in stage 4, after the pegging of the US dollars in stage 3. In stage 4, we can see that there was a drop down here. And somewhere after 2010, dollar yuan started its journey in finding its equilibrium among the businesses and traders. I'm seeing a band over the last decade. Now, after the drop, that's what I'm seeing here. Let me draw that. We could see that the dollar yuan has fluctuated over the last decade, finding an equilibrium. Now let's look at the recent development. Now it may seem that the dollar yuan are trending up, but if we look in close over the last 10 years, in fact, dollar yuan is finding an equilibrium around here. Now I would say that this equilibrium range is between about 7.5 to about 6. So where is dollar yuan heading into the future? This is my take. Now, if China is going to continue its growth into the future, yuan is likely to strengthen, and there is a possibility that it may move below this range that we have identified. Or in the other scenario, it will be the other way. So what are your thoughts on this? Always enjoy studying the correlation between markets and to uncover potential opportunities. And I hope today's sharing it will be helpful in how we invest and trade. Feel free to leave any comments below. I'd love to exchange ideas with you. Really happy that you stayed through this tutorial. You have many great trading weeks ahead.